Hello, Mustang fans, and welcome to another episode of the Mustang Owners Podcast. I'm your host, John Clore, along with my co-host, Mike Ray. And, we say everybody's got a Mustang story, so we want to hear yours on the podcast with great new things coming up. Mike, we've got an exciting time this spring with the podcast and all the stuff we're going to get involved with. I can't wait.
Yeah, the year is here, and it's right around the corner before we start getting the cars out and hitting all the big shows.
And more important than that, we appreciate all of you who sent in emails and gave us all your ideas on how to revamp the podcast. Mike and I had a big meeting on that. How much pizza did we go through in that meeting, Mike?
It was good stuff, wasn't it?
Some really good Detroit-style pizza. We knew what we were doing. So we're working on that plan, and we're going to become the #1 all Mustang show on the internet. And it's all because of your ideas, so stay tuned for that. But today, Mike, it's time we answer all the other letters that didn't have a lot to do with the revamp of the podcast. And as you know, it's time for Mustang Mailbag. We just have to.
Yeah, we've been overdue for it, and I'm sure the letters were piling up. So, yeah, let's get to it.
Well, a couple of these got so involved, I said, I'm going to have to cut them down or ask Mike to tell me when to quit. So first of all, don't stop out there adding comments to any of our videos. We read them all. We read all the comments. And when you send an email to jclark@carsandcontext.com, I read them all, and then I give them to Mike, and he said, we're not going to put that on the air. No, you never said that, Mike. Okay, so this first one, Mike, is from somebody who I think sends you probably more comments and more email than anybody on the Mustang Owners podcast. So here it is. Here, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, buckle in, folks. Get a cup of coffee. Here we go. First of the Mustang mailbag is, hello, John and Mike. Well, that's good. Because I'm not asking that in addition to your podcast, that you two guys go out and start up another MCA.
No, somebody did not write that.
Yeah.
We have the International Council of Mustang Clubs.
Thank you, Mike. First of all, if he was asking, we wouldn't do that anyway.
Yes.
There's already the MCA. And we're going to work on the council. That's news again for later in the year. But he says, but since you're not going to do that, I think you two could set up a resource center for early Mustangs like Gens 1 through 4.
I think I know who this writer is. But go ahead.
Because I'll give it to everybody.
Is his initials PN?
I'm going to give it to you at the end. He said, I think this seems to be forgotten in clubs these days. And okay, for those of you out there that maybe are 1st gen through 4th gen owners and you come to your club show and you're thinking, God, is all there is S197s and 550s? Yeah. I get it. Okay, so Paul knew it. Thank you. Yes, he's right. Isn't he, Mike? I mean, it's kind of absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so he says, as I read the post, and he's a member of that worldwide GTCS Facebook page, that big one. He says, when I read them, there are parts that are needed for even those cars. He said, front and rear fascias for those cars are impossible to get. And he said, too bad Mike can't call Cervini and get him licensed to make them. So, Mike, do you know somebody? Do you know somebody at Cervini?
I'll tell you what, Paul has a million amazing ideas. We just don't have enough of us and time and money and our own resources to make it all happen.
Okay, so maybe somebody should call Cervini and have them make the front rear. Maybe they could get licensed. I don't know.
Yeah.
He says, but Mike knows how to do that. Oh, so go ahead, Mike. Get started.
I'm on it.
He said also there are electrical issues on those cars that need parts. There are sensors that are needed. When a sensor is out of stock, what do? Got to go to the junkyard and hope that
most times, John, they're discontinued. You cannot get another part, so you're forced to go to a junkyard or find a car or something like that. Yes.
Well, but what if you can't? I mean, so you park your car?
How about that example? Do you remember the engine harness I needed to get for that '07 GT500? It's discontinued. It's not a part that you can get anymore. You have to search eBay. You have to search the classifieds. You have to look at the junkyard. You have to try to call people in the industry that they might have one laying around on a shelf. And that's literally it.
Yeah, none of that worked until a friend of yours contacted you. So even that didn't work. But he's right. And he said there's even a need for concourse-type parts for people who want to restore the early Cal Specials. I agree. Paul, yes. You're right. But how in the heck does he expect us, who are going to revamp the podcast into the best thing on the web, to make a resource center? Because here's what he said. He said, you guys know we live in a transition period to EVs. and it's creating a planned obsolescence gap for the preservation of early Mustangs. And even S197s, Mike.
Yeah.
All right. So he said the 65 to 73 guys have this figured out. What did they do? Is they just Mike Berardi bought them all up and put them in a storage bin?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you.
All right, so somebody out there listening to the podcast, buy up all the 65 to 71s and put them in a giant junkyard, and then you be the parts source. That's because we can't. No, that's what he's asking. He says the problem is it's taken several years of survival owners to know how to make things work. So you have to survive in the hobby with your own car, figure it out on your own. And he said, you and Mike, so that's me now, should find a way to. So he wants us to network everyone together to establish like a website that has answers to all of these ongoing mechanical and parts problems. So Mike, get ready. What are you doing tomorrow?
Exactly. We got the weekend free.
Okay. Now he says also, owners want production data to brag how rare their Mustang is. You guys could post the numbers and then promote Kevin Marty. Now, Mike, we used to have svt.ford.com and fordracing.com and fordperformance.com. When we had an enthusiast section, you could actually go on there and order and call the info center to get your number. We posted all the build numbers on the website. But when they recreated fordracing.com, they figured, what's that doing on there? Get rid of all these production numbers, and they killed that whole section.
Right.
So clearly the people who are doing the website really know the hobby, because Paul says they should be on a website. So maybe, yeah, we have the numbers, not the new ones.
And John, wasn't that number 1-800-FORD-SVT?
Yeah. It used to be 1-800-FORD-SVT, which was the info center. Now that's being taken over shortly again. So that, I don't know. You might get AI, kids. You might get a bot. You could get, thank you for calling Ford. So we'll see. Anyway, he says, look, you guys, I know it depends on whether you two guys want to get into this, because you got that podcast. But you could expand on the podcast and then have a tie-in to a Mustang Resource Center with everything I mentioned. Food for thought. Your friend, Paul Newitt.
Yeah. Like I said, I love his ideas, and he's got a ton of them, that's for sure. But they're all great. And like I said, if we had 6 of each of us and unlimited pockets, we'd make that all happen. We put everything into action. So
I'm curious of all of our watchers and listeners, what do you think of that idea? Put it in the comments. What you think? Is there a resource? I mean, we used to have all the background of all the performance cars when I had the SVT site and the Ford Performance site. That all existed. I still have a lot of that material. Would you want that to live somewhere? We could put it on carsandcontext.com. We could do. Is that? I mean, you're right. It's a good idea, and I wish I could help everybody. But stop sending me stuff like, John, can you get a seat back for a 66? No.
Well, John, we briefly mentioned too, possibly like with the website and everything for the podcast, to maybe add a link or something like that, or a tab that would have like resources or something that we could share with everybody as well.
Well, maybe we get Kevin Marty to be a sponsor, and
like you said, Marty Minute,
do a Marty Minute.
Let's get smart,
Now we got to get smart. We got to do a Marty Minute and have him. Yeah, well, good idea, Paul. But as far as all of that, I'll read the comments and see what everybody thinks. If they think the podcast should be involved in the Resource Center, well, Mike's got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks. That's enough. Thank you, Paul Newitt. You're the best. You really are. His calls and text messages, and he really is a super enthusiast, and we're going to lean on him.
Yeah, definitely talk to Paul multiple times a week.
Great guy. All right, now here's one, Mike, that it's kind of directed at you. Don't feel obligated in any way, but they want an explanation, and you've already told me you've been bombarded with people with this question, but now it's come through the podcast. So now you got to answer it publicly.
All right.
Anyway, it's Dear Mike. At least it's Dear Mike. It's not a hey you. It's Ron Porter of the Taurus Show Club. We love Ron Porter.
Yes.
Love the Taurus Show Registry. Those guys are crazy. They're all a lot of fun. I went to I spoke at their convention banquet a couple years ago, Mike. You know what they had as the giveaway prize on the table? IPA beer.
No way.
They had whiskey. They had it was like a liquor store.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people were fighting over who's going to get the Drambuie. You know, it was so cool. These guys know how
Yeah.
to party. Anyway, he said, "Listen, Mike, as I realized this as it turned into February, that I had not heard anything about you and John hosting your annual Midwest Club Summit. I sent an email to John early in the week, but I had not heard back. And Ron, I didn't want to answer because I wanted Mike to be able to explain it, because did Ford Performance / now Ford Racing, the sponsorship, Ford Club Connect, they don't exist in that. They don't sponsor it anymore. Would Mike and I be interested? Yes. But he said, more importantly, I had not heard back. Mike, tell me, is the summit still a thing for this year? Your
Yeah,
friend.
I would love to do that, John. Hopefully later in the year. We are working on that. You know who also reached out to me regarding this exact same thing and is trying to help do a fundraiser thing to get funding for it, and kind of looking for some goals of what we need, is Mark Bedell. So he just reached out to me last week about that. So yes, Ron, we are going to work towards it. With losing the funding from Ford Performance, and also with Moxum, me and John stepping down from the Moxum board, we were in control of that overnight that was intertwined with the summit. We were no longer involved this year, so they kind of went a different route. And like I said, without the funding and the timing and everything. I'd still like to do it maybe in the fall, maybe like a September-ish thing to try to do it. And then maybe try to pick back up again in February of next year with that. And, and John, underneath the International Council of Mustang Club flag.
That's a viable. We could have the International Council of Mustang Clubs be the hosting sponsor, maybe the podcast once we get it relaunched. And here's an idea. One, we do still. Thank you to Ken Appel and the Carlisle Ford Nationals. We still have a footprint there,
Yep.
regardless of what program Ford had me working for. And we could do it, Mike, as a seminar at Carlisle, the Fridays Club Seminar. And you'll notice it for all of our Mustang fans on the podcast, this didn't come from a Mustang club.
Right.
So it's not just Mike Mustang clubs that are at the summit that want to know, how do you get sponsors? How do you get better events? What are you guys doing that's cool? How do you get younger members? It's not just, we had Fairlane, Falcon Club, T-Bird guys.
The person writing is the Taurus, right? So,
yeah.
it's, and also, John, with our sponsors that we're going to be trying to work on too, I was thinking about this literally last night, about approaching some of the possible sponsors for us, is that would be a part of it too. You would, with your sponsor donation, it would also be you as a major sponsor for the summit as well. So anytime we went to a break or anything like that, they would definitely get some coverage or some, avenues to drive them to the website or to their businesses as well, just as part of the whole year-long sponsorship.
Yeah. So to answer this, it's a great letter. Thank you, Ron Porter. And we did want to bring it up on the podcast for that reason. But for those of you who think it might be a good idea for Mike and I to do our Midwest Club Summit, which is open to everyone, at maybe the Carlisle Ford Nationals on our seminar hour on Fridays at the Nationals. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Would you want to attend a seminar on how to make club life better and all the best practices? Mike, it really was more about sharing stuff that works.
Yes.
So the question is,
also though, John, if somebody had something that they were having major troubles with, they'd put it out there, and hopefully somebody around that room or that was via Zoom could actually have an answer that they were successful at it and share that with them as well.
Yeah. So if you out there listening tonight and listen to the mailbag and said, I'd like to get involved. I'd like to hear what was being said. And maybe you think if the Carlisle Ford Nationals would be the place to be, we could work on that. Or like Mike says, if we want to do some main one by Zoom, I don't know how many people we can take by Zoom, but if
maybe we could do this, John. Maybe we could do an in-person at Carlisle each year, and then a via Zoom, either in February or September or something like that with everybody, and kind of do that. So we could have kind of two a year, one in person and one via Zoom.
Well, I'd have to get a new router if we're going to have 700 people on Zoom.
Yeah, we both would, right? Yes.
You get 700 people on Zoom, we're going to be in trouble. But no, so put that in the comments, folks. What do you think? Is that something we should do? Because, there's a lot. The summit was great, Mike. I think we did a great service.
I really missed it so far this year.
I really do. And it's great to see that other people that were attending who got ideas there and loved conversing with other clubs. That was a good thing.
I probably had another 8 to 10, John, that reached out as well, asking the same question.
All right, so there's 8 more emails we didn't have to answer for the Mustang Owners podcast. Because the mailbag, if it's all the same one, we're answering that for everybody, right?
Right.
Okay, this one, I think you know this guy, Mike. He may have, and more recently, but he has a really good point here, and I want to bring that up on the mailbag. Okay. So this one says, John and Mike had a recent event at a local detailing shop. So these guys did a club event at a detailing shop, which I think is cool.
Yep.
I crossed paths with 2 20-somethings with Mustangs.
Okay.
What? 2 20-something? He said one of them had an 84 GT350, which is, Etzel mentioned that car.
Yeah, cool car.
And the other guy had a family-owned, so maybe it wasn't his, it was mom's or something, 2004 Mustang.
Okay.
So that's a 95. Both were very excited to own their own cars, even though their friends were into European and Hondas and Japanese and JDM vehicles. And I get it. Koreans, they're big. You know, Kias and Hyundais and all that stuff.
Where's that last Kia show you seen?
Yeah. Hey, and by the way, the Requiem is out for the Kia Soul, who's no longer being produced. No, sorry. All the hamsters will be burying one of the souls.
Yeah.
One of the souls in the cemetery. Yeah.
Yeah, I have not seen the Toyota Nationals or anything like that. Yeah. I don't get it.
Well, anyway, so he said these kids, these Mustang kids really impressed him. They talked to him and they're so excited about owning a Mustang instead of an import, basically.
Yeah.
He said anyone could see the pride in their cars, and they really wanted to talk to people about these cars, which provided me, he wanted to be attentive. So here's an older guy in a club, saw 2 Mustang kids, and he wanted to listen to them. Thank you. That is Youth Orientation 101, Mike, when an older guy has a young kid come up to him and ask him some questions about being in a club. Answer them. Make him feel welcome, right? Okay, now he says, I only mention this because I listened to you and Mike on the podcast when you interviewed Eric Richards. And if you remember, we just did Eric on the podcast. And the fact that there are young people involved, especially even at the board level in clubs. So he listened to our podcast and he said, I run into younger enthusiasts all the time at events, and I try to engage with them about their cars. So he's not feeling like they don't exist out there. They're not at his club meetings. And I'll tell you what's really fantastic about that in a second. He says, I want to talk to them about their cars, what they like to do with them, and if they have plans for this or that vehicle. So he's really like pumping them, you know, just coming to this event with your Mustang. Let's talk. He said, they seem surprised that I want to talk with them and learn about their 1990s or 2000 cars when this man obviously has an older vehicle.
Right.
I think that's a good thing, Mike.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
Right. So here's what he said. What I don't like is that many of the established classic car owners think that younger people are only interested in their phones. He said the next generation of early model owners are out there. So even early models, you know, not just late model cars, but the next generation to take over early classics, he thinks are already out there. But just like these older folks probably felt when they were younger, hanging out with the old folks doesn't interest them. And Mike, we kind of see that at club meetings. The younger tables kind of sit with each other, and they don't really want to sit with the senior citizens so much. They do walk the show field together, and they will engage with, but they don't hang out, right? Now that we are the older ones, hey, thanks a lot for pointing that out. Maybe me, not Mike. Yeah. We have to revert back. Here's the advice he's given everybody on the podcast. Let's revert back to how we felt when we were their age. If not, if you don't do this, everybody, the risk we have of alienating the very people that are about to take our place, that is what we're risking. So by alienating them, he believes we're reducing our chances to have young people stepping into the hobby. And Mike, he's probably right.
Right.
Okay, I feel we are the ones needing to open up the vehicles, open up our toolboxes, open up our garages, and open up our knowledge and experience to these young folks. He's calling on everybody listening to the podcast if you are a little bit older generation and you have that chance to interact with a young Mustang owner, those things need to happen. Engage with them if they need help, if they need service. Use your knowledge base of ownership of a Mustang to engage. He said, we are not going to get younger folks involved by meeting other classic car owners at a lunch.
Right. That's true.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah.
He said, listen, guys, I'm sorry. I'll get off my soapbox now. You and Mike, keep up the good work with the podcast. And thanks again for letting others know about Thunderbird Appreciation Day on Sunday, May 17th, 2026. So, you guys waiting for a Mustang, the National Mustang Day, which is April 17th, 2026. All you Mustang owners, I know you're all doing something. Well, this comes from us from Tom Zajewski of the Vintage Thunderbird Club International, the president, and of the Northwest Thunderbird Club. We met him, Mike, last year at Carlisle. He was at one of our seminars. So Zajewski was a great guy. He says maybe the Thunderbird Appreciation Day on Sunday, May 17th is kind of like what we've learned with National Mustang Day on April 17th. And who do we have to thank for that? A lot of you say, oh, it's Ford, Public Affairs, Giant Catids, and no. It's Steve Hall of the Mustang Owners Museum, who started out National Mustang Day, copyrighted it, his logo. Remember when Ford had to do Global Mustang Day?
Yeah.
Steve, they didn't want to get involved with the National Mustang Day.
I remember it all. Yep.
Yeah. So as we begin and go out this spring for National Mustang Day, he said, if you know your T-Bird friends or you want to give them a honk of the horn, they're going to be out on a Sunday, May 17th, 2026. Thank you, Tom. What an enthusiast. A T-Bird, president of 2 T-Bird clubs, listens to the Mustang Owners podcast, watch our stuff, and generally agrees he would be the perfect guy that would go to a summit.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And yeah, it's very nice to hear that, the other cars too, the Tauruses, the Thunderbirds now, they're all tuning in as well. So, I think we're both well-rounded in the Ford world. So, I mean, it's not that we only touched Mustangs. It just happens to be the most dominant. That's all. Well,
look what happened to Bart Savage of the International Thunderbird Club. We had hung with him so much, and he saw so much of what we're doing with Mustang, Mike. What did he do? Yeah. He went out and bought a Mustang convertible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's the president of the International Mustang Club. Excuse me, the International Thunderbird Club. So Bart, I know he's probably listening. Bart, I think, participated at club summits. So what do you think? Do you think the Mustang Owners podcast should expand? Should we become the Mustang and Ford Owners podcast, expand our reach? Would you like to see other clubs get involved and talk about, is the Mustang world kind of leading the charge in the club? I think it is. We have the most cars. But that doesn't mean, Mike, we're all by ourselves in the hobby.
No. And like you said, in the Ford world, John, you say it all the time in all your presentations. Every single line of cars, vehicles that Ford ever has a club somewhere. The Kia Souls don't. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yes, there's a following with everything that's ever been created. And that's why Ford Motor Company has been so historic over 100+ years. And, which the iconic Global Sports book, right, kind of covers all that and explains why each and every vehicle was so prominent in the industry.
Yeah, and that book's still available if you guys want to go to iconicglobalsports.com and get your $100 off from our listening to the podcast. Use Club 25 in the discount code, and you'll get $100 off that fantastic.
Yeah,
it's going to be the collectible of all time, and once they're out, they're gone forever. So jump on. So we want to thank everybody that's put in and sent us a mail item. If you have an item you'd like us to discuss on the Mustang Owners podcast, send it to me, jclor, C-L-O-R, at the jclor Cars in Context website, jclor at carsincontext.com. And Mike, we'll put it on the air. And even if it's another note from Paul Newitt, great ideas. We can't. And if you have a comment you'd like to suggest, maybe you have an idea. Do you think we should expand? Use those, put them in the comments or send them to us, Mike. We're always listening. And that's how, we stay connected. And that's how this is going to become the hottest internet sensation on YouTube, is going to be the best Mustang show anywhere. And that's what we plan to do. So, Mike, let's think about that summit idea. Make sure you guys, while you're out there, make sure you hit like and subscribe, hit the notification button. Because, Mike.
And tell all your friends.
Yeah, because if they don't like and subscribe, this stuff doesn't, the algorithm won't pick it up. And it won't be shared if you like this kind of content. And what happened when people liked and shared the the Perkins shop interview we did.
Yeah.
15, 16, 17,000 views.
You know, John, I wanted to see one last thing before we close out is that this weekend I got a note, it was the anniversary for Steve and Angie Caesar, and they came down to the Autorama, and they were down there, and guess what they were wearing at the Autorama?
What?
Mustang Owners Podcast swag all day long, all through Cobo Hall, Huntington Place, whatever you want to call it now. So they were representing us live all day on Saturday down at the Autorama.
All right, that's it. For those of you who don't know, if you missed the Mustang Stampede way back in Detroit,
yeah,
we helped put that together. Who was on stage there? Of course, Steve Caesar talking about his King Cobra. Let's get Steve and Angie on. Talk about the prototypical Mustang owners who love their club, love their cars. We should have them on the podcast, Mike.
Yep, let's absolutely do that.
So wave the flag for us and share, and who knows, you'll be on the podcast too. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Mustang Owners Podcast. So until next time, we're just going to have to catch you guys down the road.